Hi there, welcome to Transcona Trailer Sales. Today I'm going to be walking you through your 2026 Wildwood Heritage Glen 271Rl. We are just going to start off at the back of the unit. If you notice up top, you're pre-mounted through an observation camera, as well as the Lippert collapsible stair system. If you'd like to get set up with either of those, it's just as simple as contacting your parts department. They'd be more than happy to help put together a quote for you. Down below, you're going to have your 2-inch receiver. Just keep it in mind there's a stick here letting you know that the weight load capacity is 250 pounds, so that's kind of just a bike rack, so just keep that in mind whenever you are using it. And if we come around to the driver's side of the unit, you got your water hookups area right in the back corner. The black tank flush, make sure you read the caution sticker. It's always good to use it after every couple of uses, and it's going to really help with those false monitor panel readings or any sort of odor. It's just very important that you do have your sewer hose connected and your black tank valve open whenever you are using it. That way, once you're pushing pressure inside of that tank, it has a place to go and it doesn't rupture that tank. You got your fresh water connection right here, so that is going to be how you fill up your fresh tank. And then your city water connection is going to be on the right, and that's going to be how you, on the left is your city water connection, and on the right is your fresh tank fill. So your fresh tank fills on the right, your city water connection is on the left. So if you're out of state service, you just thread a garden hose in there, turn it on. It's going to pressurize all those lines without the needing to run your water pump. The drain for that fresh tank is going to be just in front of this back tire here. You open up the valve like so to drain all the water out of the lines, or all the water out of the tank, closing it off. What allows it to hold water. Turn a little further more up ahead. You got your shower, exterior shower. That opens up to your standard 751 key. It's going to come included with your unit. Down below that is just your furnace exhaust, so just keep it in mind whenever it is running. It'll be blowing out hot air. Then you get your standard 50 amp twist lock connection. You just take a note of that notch. This silver strip there, it lines up with this silver strip on the plug side. Once you line those guys up, you should be able to firmly press it into place, and then you get that 8th turn to lock it in. And then you got that threaded collar to really lock it down. If you follow that cord back, you do have a standard 50 amp plug-in. A lot of campsites, especially here in Manitoba, may not have 50 amp service, so that's why we do include this 30 amp dog bone adapter. But just keep it in mind whenever you are using the 30 amp adapter, you can't run both air conditioners at once. You will only be able to run one at a time. But if you're on that 50 amp service, you can run both at the same time. Once you plug it in, you get those 2 blue lights at the top telling you have a successful power source. If you were to have a red light on there, it's going to let you know that your source of power is bad. And then right in front of that, you do get your main sewer exit. Take that ear, twist it off. Those ears are the same ears your sewer hose is going to have. They just twist in and lock on like so. You got your 2 gray valves, which you're going to want to empty last. And then you got that black one way at the back, which is the one you're going to want to empty first. The left one is going to be for your galley, which is hooked up to your kitchen sink. The right one is going to be for your gray tank, which is hooked up to your bathroom with all your sinks and your showers. If you come a little bit further up ahead, you got your hot water service port. Now if you're going to be doing the winterization yourself, it is a little bit different from your standard water heater. You're not going to have any bypass valves behind this guy. You do want to run antifreeze through the system. Just once you're done your winterization process completely, making sure that you crack that pressure relief valve and leaving it cracked open for the duration of winter. And this little switch here, it is the power switch to turn power onto the thermostat inside. Below all this, you got this tube mounted on the side of the frame because there's no rear bumper. This is a little storage spot for your sewer hose. I have a brand new one located inside the front compartment, which is why there's not one in there yet. But typically after your first use, that's kind of where you're going to want to store it. It just helps keep as much smell out of the unit as possible. Just making sure that you do line it up and lock it into place before you start traveling. Otherwise, there's a good chance it's going to rattle off. Inside this compartment here, flipping this guy open, that's where you're going to find your standard starter kit, which comes with that 10-foot sewer hose, a 15-foot water hose, some other miscellaneous goodies, including that 15 amp park adapter. And then on the front of the wall here, you got your battery disconnect switch with it in the on position like it is right now. The batteries are connected to the unit. If you were to turn it to the off position, the batteries would become disconnected from the unit. Right here, you get your 30 amp solar controller. There's a bunch of different settings you can go around and play with. I'm going to recommend going over the owner's manual, but we do currently have it set up for your basic charging needs. So if it's sending sun hitting the panel up top, it's going to be applying a charge to your front battery. Just keep it in mind that panel up top, you do have to give it a cleaning every once in a while, as it does get dirty, but just make sure you're doing that with warm water and a soft microfiber towel. You're not going to want to use any harsh chemicals. Up on the wall here, you need a manual override for your stabilizer jacks, and there's going to be another one on the other side that is going to be to run down your spare tire. That crank is on the other side, and I'll show you that in a second. Around the front of the unit, you get your one battery located in the front here. It's underneath that cover, and then underneath this big cover up top, right in the front. Usually you can just open up the cap, get what you need done from the top, but just for the purpose of the video, you can just slide it right out of the way. You get access to 2 propane tanks, 20-pounders, just like any standard barbecue. At the front, you get your regulator with it pointed to this tank. You're obviously going to be drawing off this tank, so you go counterclockwise nice and slowly, like any standard barbecue. Turns it on. Now, if this tank were to go dry, you do just have to close it off. You switch this over to this side and start drying off this tank. Now we're coming around to the passenger side of the unit. Opening up this side, you do get a little motion sensing light in here. This goes for all the motion sensing lights in the unit. If it's on the setting, the 2 setting, when it's motion sensing. If it's on setting 1, it's going to be on full time, and sit right in the middle is off. And then there's a little black switch here. Turns on some cool accent lighting right up at the front. And then that override tool. Whenever you're piling things inside this front compartment, just be mindful of that ram that's up there. That is for your Versatilt bed. You're not going to want to pile anything too closely to it, because it does have to be able to move freely. You do have 2 sets of stabilizer jacks. They're electric, front and rear. We're going to go over the front ones today. Push and hold the extend button. The feet will start making their way down. Once the feet contact the ground and you hear the motor lined up a little bit, you can let off the button. Just keep in mind, sometimes these feet can go down at different times, just because it is an open gear system. So if that's what's happening, don't panic. Just let it do its thing. So you heard the motors wind up, so that jacks are at their full extension. Just keep in mind, whenever you are using these are stabilizing jacks, they're not leveling jacks. It's always good to level your unit before you stabilize it. And then to retract it, it's simple. Hitting the retract button, the feet are going to start making their way up. Once they contact the bottom of the floor, the motor is going to wind up, and you're going to let off the button again. Done. This hole here, this is what I was talking about. It runs to the shaft, which will drop down your spare tire, which is just over here, in case you were to ever have to use it, which hopefully you don't. And then coming down with the rest of the unit is just, you got some plugins on the outside here in case you want to plug in a coffee maker, a couple cable satellite outlets. And then you got your first awning and your second awning. Sorry, this is the first awning and this is the second awning, according to the monitor panel. To get inside, you're taking that assist handle, pushing it up fully at 90 degrees. You're going to lock it in place. That will allow you to open up your door. You have to have your door open all the way to get your stairs down. Pull on the blue tab, pull the stairs down. They're going to start coming down. You do have adjustable feet, just having to use the silver tabs to lock it in the corresponding spots here, so you can have nice and level stairs for your campsite. How you're going to want to set that is you want this black plate as close to the silver catch plate as possible, so that way that door can close in and out nice and freely without binding. Taking a step on inside, first thing you notice off on the left is that fire extinguisher, which is pretty much just like home. Pull the pin and shoot. And then you got your monitor panel right in front of me here. We'll go over the awning control first. Hit that extend button, the awning's going to start making its way out. Once that awning is at its full extension, you're going to see the back of the metal tube and a little flap hang down. So that's all we're gonna be able to go out today, but technically there'd be a little flap that would want to hang down, and there would be the back mount too. Now if it were to start raining, you can take any arm, front or rear, pull down at the center. It's gonna change the pitch of the awning head, allowing water to now run off. Now if you like that angle better, you can do the same thing with the front arm. It's gonna allow for more shade underneath. Just making sure that you do push both these arms back to straight before you bring your awning in. That way you don't run the risk of bending anything. And that is gonna go the same thing for the rear awning. And that's gonna be controlled off awning 2. Hold the retract button, the awning's gonna start making its way in. Once it contacts the side of the trailer, the motor's gonna automatically cut out. Just keep in mind whenever you do have either of the awnings out, just keep an eye on the wind speeds. Once the wind speeds do start picking up, it's a very good idea to bring in that awning. That way you don't run the risk of ripping your fabric or bending your arms. And let's say you had to roll it in while it's wet. It's not the end of the world. Just try to remember at your next earliest convenience to roll it out and allow it adequate time to dry off. That way you don't accelerate the growth of mold or mildew. Aside from that, you got all your lighting control up at the top here, as well as your tank heater. The tank heater is for extended camping seasons, but our Manitoba winters get much too cold. Realistically, it's for that 1 to 5 degree mark. If you are camping below -0, you do run the risk of things freezing, so just be mindful of that. You got your water pump turning that on, draws out of your fresh tank. And then you have your different slide outs. Before you ever run your slide outs, obviously with this unit, it's gonna be a little difficult just because the first awning doesn't allow you to get any view. But it's always a good idea just to do a quick visual check, make sure nothing's shifted during travel and it's gonna get caught in between the slide outs. And of course, just on the outside, making sure you have enough room to put it all the way out. But if you push and hold that out button, the slide out's can start making its way out. And once it does reach its full extension, you can hear the motors wind up and click. You do the same thing with the kitchen slide. And of course you get your main light switch, awning light switch, and some accent lighting, which turns on some lighting behind the slide outs. Now if you want to be extra cautious, you could run your hand behind the slide out. You want to be able to feel that slide out pushed up against that rubber seal, making sure you're sealing out any water from coming inside. We'll go straight into the bedroom here just to start things off. Light switch on your right. You got your versatile bed control. One way is up, the other way is down. All the blinds in the unit do work the same way. They just kind of sit where you leave them. They're all the way down. Other than that, it's a pretty standard bedroom. You do have a nice window right there at the front. Tons of storage all throughout, just of course being mindful of drains, water lines, and things like that. And then just of course, noticing that you do have travel straps on these, both this door and the closet door. It's very important you do use them without it being on there. It allows that door to slide freely. So if you're traveling, it's probably gonna rip itself off the hinges. Now, if you come over here, you get 2 additional chairs which are strapped in for good reason so that they don't go anywhere during travel. And behind that, you are prepped for a washer dryer combo. If you'd like to get set up with that, again, just contact your parts department. Now, even if you don't get set up with that, make sure you do winterize those ports. It's very important, otherwise you could crack the line. Inside the bathroom space, you got 2 light switches. The one on the right is going to turn on your back mirror light. The one on the left is going to turn on the main light inside. Above my head, you get this vent lid. Pull down on the handle, pull it forward. That opens up the vent lid. Now it does open up straight into the atmosphere, so of course if it was going to start raining, it's going to get wet inside of here. We do sell covers here at the shop that goes over top of it. It's going to protect you from getting wet inside of here. It is going to add a little more protection against hail. If you'd like to get set up with that, again, just contact your parts department. They'll be more than happy to help you out. And then on the wall, you get your Suburban water heater thermostat. Push the power button on and off to turn it on and off. Power button up and down to change your set temperature. As an added safety feature so kids can't scald their hands, you are locked to 50 degrees Celsius right off the bat, but if you push and hold that for about 5 seconds, it does unlock it and it'll allow you to go up to 55. Now, because this is an on-demand water heater and it's not a tanked water heater, it's going to be a little different than your style at home. The way you want to set this temperature is where you find it comfortable with just the hot on. You don't want to have to blend in the cold at all. Toilet, other than that, pretty standard bathroom area. On the wall, you get your JBL sound system. This is the sound system for the unit. You don't have any exterior speakers. It is only the interior ones, and it all has to run through your phone. So you just have to push the power button on, push the Bluetooth button. It sets up like a regular JBL speaker at home, and you can play music through everything. Now, because this unit's equipped with propane, you got your LP detector right here near the ground. If that guy ever starts going off, don't panic. Just turn off the main supply of propane in front of the unit. Open up some windows and vents, get some fresh oxygen inside of here. You get a little coffee bar area, tons of accent lighting throughout this thing. You're gonna kind of find it as you use it. You get your main fuse and breaker panel down here near the ground. If you ever have a breaker that trips, it's gonna sit in the middle, so you do just have to turn it off and then back on again to reset it. All your corresponding fuses will be on your right. And now, because this unit is by water lots of times, a lot of the plugs are hooked up through GFI. The main GFI reset is on the breaker itself here. So if you got tests there, if you ever see that breaker sitting like that, you just have to turn it off and then back on again to reset it. So if you ever have an outlet that doesn't work, it's going to be a good idea to just double check that, make sure it's not tripped. One thing I did forget to mention inside the bathroom, you get 2 screws here. This is where you get access to your water pump for winterization. And then on the wall, you get your controls for your rear air conditioner as well as the furnace. So push the button once, it illuminates itself. You can push it again, go between your different modes. So we'll go cool, hit enter, it turns it on. I always recommend running the fan in the auto setting. That way you're not, it creates an on-demand system so that air conditioner isn't running continuously full time. If you just have it on high or low, it will run full time until you manually turn it off. So that's why I always recommend using the auto. One more time, we'll bring it over to heat. The furnace only has 1 fan speed. It moves all its air through the floor portals you have throughout the unit. It's going to be important before you fire this that you do purge the system. I'm going to go over that once we get to the stove. One more time, we'll bring you to a cool plus heat. So it's going to be extra important that you do use that auto setting for this one, because depending on what the room is set to, will depend on what it kicks in. If the auto setting's not on, it can't kick off the air or the heat. One more time after that, you get dry, which is the dehumidifying mode to try and take as much moisture out of the air. And one more time, you cycle over back to off. It'll turn everything back off. Whenever you run your furnace and then turn it off again, it does run for an additional few minutes to allow itself adequate time to cool off. You got your Furion fridge freezer, control for that up top, control for the fridge down below. Push and hold the power button for 3 seconds to turn it on or off. Then you got your setting button right here to go between all your different settings. You're going to notice some writing here. You got fast, coldest. So let's say your significant other told you the night before, turn on the fridge because we're going on a trip. You forgot. If you wake up in the morning and remember, putting it on that 5th setting is going to get the coldest and fastest, and then you can turn it down from there. That off-grid one there, that's just letting you know the most energy efficient setting to run it off if you're running it off battery power. And you got your microwave, which is pretty much just like home, not much I'm going to show you there. Kitchen sink, vanity, storage all around, and then we do get to your stove. Now, because this is a gas stove, I always recommend running a range hood whenever you're using it. That way you're evacuating those propane fumes as you're making them. So I went over a couple notes about purging. The reason I tell you to come and light your stove first thing is because it's the easiest way to get all the air out of the system. Whenever you turn it off at the front, it slowly allows air into it. So over time, it'll take longer to get things to light. Your furnace, water heater, those will only try lighting themselves a couple times before they throw a fault code. The stove will light as many times as you try it. Whenever you are purging it though, just being careful whenever you run that gas valve on. You're just hitting that igniter every few seconds. That way there would be no buildup of gas and minor combustion causing you to lose any eyebrows. You don't want that. So again, just come to your stove. Of course, it fired up right away just because I had the system running earlier. Sometimes it can take a few minutes. So just be patient with it and making sure you're hitting that sparker every few seconds. And the same thing does go for the oven. Open up that guy, turn it over to the pilot option, push and hold the knob in. Give it a few seconds, hit that sparker. Right down there near the bottom, you're going to see that pilot at the back. Once that pilot's able to light and stay lit without you holding in on the knob, you can turn it up to your desired temperature and it does fire right on up. Coming to your entertainment center, I think this thing is pretty cool. You got a fireplace down below, power button on the far right. You got your different flame colors right next to it. You got your rock light colors right in the middle. And then of course you got your heat, pushing the button once you get into low, push it again, you get into high. And then you got a timer that goes anywhere from 30 minutes to 9 hours. Power button on the far right to turn it off. Really cool feature about this guy. Hidden pantry. So you just come, there's a little latch here. It works like a fence latch. Pull it over. That unlocks it, allow you to open it up. Crazy big storage space. Great use of space. But just trying to remember, if you do unlock it, if you start traveling again, it's very important that you do lock it back up. Double check it's locked, because sometimes it doesn't always go the first try. And you're locked again. And then at the back, in case you had some extra guests, this does fold down into a bed. Have to remove the cushions. Grab on the foot, pull it towards you. Once you start pulling it out, feet underneath, you can fold down. Set this down, then take your back cushion, fold that down, and you'd have yourself another bed in case you did have any extra guests. And then it's just the total opposite to fold it all back up. Then in that last slide out there, you got your 2 recliner chairs. And then your little kitchen table with your 2 other fixed chairs. Just keep in mind, again, those ones are strapped. It's very important to use those straps during travel. But other than that, that is going to be it for this unit here. If you have any other questions, feel free to give us a call.